July 23, 2007. Around 8:10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, a 19-year-old student of California Polytechnic State University is driving his newly acquired Nissan 350Z and decided to do some spirited driving in an area known for its curvy, secluded roads, a perfect place to test the limits of a sports car. At around 8:20 p.m., the 350Z would lose control around a bend and plow into a married couple going on a late afternoon walk, before hitting a tree and exploding into flames, fatally wounding both the driver and passenger. In the subsequent years, a report from the IIHS would reveal the Nissan 350Z had a driver fatality rate of 143 per 1 million registrations, the highest recorded between 2006 and 2009, more than double the rate of the average sports car. How could one of the most praised, reasonably priced icons of the sports car world be the deadliest car in America? Well, it has something to do with a specific niche of cars: the affordable sports car. In today's economic hellscape, the term affordable sports car is sort of an oxymoron. What is affordable about a Mustang GT that has a base price of $50,000? On top of that, dealerships commonly putting ADMs or additional dealer markup on any model that is targeted towards enthusiast buyers. There was a time when the term sports car and affordable could actually be in the same sentence, and Nissan had this formula perfected.
The 240Z. A new kind of economy car from Datsun.
In late 1969, for only $3,526, which when adjusted for inflation is the equivalent to $31,000 or a new Toyota Camry, you could purchase Nissan's premier sports car, the Datsun 240Z. It had a 2.4-liter single overhead cam inline 6 called the L24 that made 151 horsepower at 5,600 RPM, a 4-speed manual transmission, rack and pinion steering, and independent suspension all the way around. And it was a runaway success.
There's a 2.4-liter overhead cam engine up there, and it really moves out. The handling is special too, with fully independent rear suspension. And the Datsun has big disc brakes up front. When you're going this fast, I wouldn't have it any other way.
By 1990, Nissan had produced 1 million Zs, and as the generations got more technology, heavier and mushier, and naturally, they got more expensive. The 300ZX twin-turbo was on par with Corvettes and Porsches of the 90s. Its VG30 DETT engine made double the horsepower of the original 240Z. It had 4 cams instead of 1, 2 turbochargers, 2 intercoolers, and a price tag adjusted for inflation of $84,000, the equivalent to a new G80 M3. By no surprise, in 1996, Nissan would discontinue the 300ZX in the US simply because its core demographic was no longer able to afford it. But there was a glimmer of hope in 1998 of a return to the original formula that made the Nissan Z so successful. A series of questionable concepts were shown to the public before landing on this concept in 2001, which was a near-perfect blend of retro styling cues and modern elements. And with a CEO hell-bent on reviving Nissan as a manufacturer, the 350Z would be greenlit and begin production in 2002 for the 2003 model year. Unlike the 300ZX, the 350Z was a performance bargain. Its engine, the VQ35DE, was a 3.5-liter version of their ordinary V6, but with a slight bump in compression, hotter camshafts, continuously variable cam timing, coated pistons, a 6-speed manual transmission, and 287 horsepower at its disposal. A base price of $26,809 put it in the same price range as a higher optioned NB Miata and around $8,000 cheaper than the base Corvette offering at the time. Its exhaust note, especially when modified, wasn't the best, borderline annoying, and the cabin trimmings were definitely an afterthought, but at its price point, you couldn't complain. You want to know something more annoying than the sound of a VQ35DE straight piped at full tilt? Booking doctor's appointments. I used to just call around, half the time nobody answers, the other half of the time they don't take my insurance, and when I do get an appointment, it's months and months away. But I don't have to do that anymore, thanks to our sponsor, ZocDoc. Whenever I need a routine checkup or I'm just feeling weird, I'll use ZocDoc to search and compare local in-network doctors, since they have over 150,000 providers within 200 plus specialties across all 50 states. And appointments are typically available within 24 to 72 hours. And best of all, is 100% free to use. So don't keep on pushing off those doctor's appointments. I want you guys to keep on being here to watch these cool videos that takes me forever to edit. So click the link in the description. That is a huge step towards prioritizing your health. Or go to ZocDoc.com/337speed and check that appointment right off your list. As the 350Z hit the market, it sold like hotcakes right into the hands of younger enthusiasts. It also became ingrained in the minds of gamers as the first car you drive in Need for Speed Underground 2, a game that will go on to break sales records and regarded as the peak of the Need for Speed franchise. Outside of the video game world, insurance companies began to see a trend with the 350Z. The Highway Loss Data Institute, which is funded by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, would make a report of injury, collision, and theft losses by make and model for 2003 to 2005. All losses were stated in relative terms, with 100 representing the average loss payment for all vehicles. When it came to collisions, the Mustang GT was 36% higher than average. The Porsche 911 was 98% higher than average, and the 350Z was 103% higher than average, or essentially double the loss payment average. The interesting part is that the 350Z's twin from Nissan's luxury brand Infiniti, called the G35 Coupe, averaged only 65% higher than average. The G35 Coupe shared the same front midship platform, but with a slightly longer wheelbase, the same drivetrain, but it was trimmed to be more of a luxury grand tourer, and as such, it appealed to an older, less risky demographic. When looking at driver fatalities per 1 million vehicle registrations, which is a way to put not only the vehicle's design into question, but also the type of driver the vehicle attracts, the 350Z had 143 driver fatalities between 2006 and 2009. In comparison to the Corvette C6 with a 6-liter LS2 engine making 113 more horsepower, lighter in weight, made of fiberglass, and a higher top speed, it posted a driver fatality rate of less than half that amount. Another interesting detail in the IIHS report showed the 350Z being involved in an egregious amount of single vehicle fatalities, the type of accident that shocked a whole community in San Jose. The 350Z isn't the only car that has held such a poor reputation with insurance companies. There's one that under the same metrics is even worse, and it was made by Honda. The Acura RSX in the early 2000s had a driver fatality rate of over 200 per 1 million registrations, some of the highest ever recorded by the IIHS. It was offered in the US in two distinct trims, the normal RSX and the RSX Type S, which the S traded the 160 horsepower K28-3 for the higher redline, more power dense 200 horsepower K28-2. It only came with a close ratio 6-speed manual transmission, stiffer suspension, and larger sway bars and bigger brakes. Its original MSRP of $23,000 made it a pocket rocket that was priced similar to a Miata, but with 60 more horsepower and all going to the front wheels. Both the RSX and 350Z share some commonalities for why they top the charts in these reports. First, they both had more engaging marketing and promotional materials. For example, Nissan released a short film named The Run in 2003, which showed the 350Z speeding through the city streets of Prague in the Czech Republic. Acura's RSX commercials showcase how raw the sound of a K-Series was, revving to 8,000 RPM. Both were really effective at making you want these cars to do exactly that. Secondly, there was a value proposition with both of these cars. You were buying a significant amount of performance for not lots of money. Just look at the 350Z. It was only 13 horsepower short of the 4.6-liter V8 powered S197 Mustang GT in 2005. But it was lighter, better handling, especially since it didn't have a solid rear axle, and overall a better track car. Thirdly, and probably the most important overall, was culture. The tuner scene exploded in the US during the early 2000s, so video games like Need for Speed Underground, Juiced, Midnight Club, magazines, and movies all blasted Japanese performance cars into the psyche of teens, and that influenced their buying habits as they became older and got their licenses. Both the 350Z and RSX were just a victim of a perfect storm. They were bought by less experienced drivers, they were too much of a car for them to handle, and ultimately they were crashed at alarming rates, claiming many lives in the process.